Can you imagine Stevie Wonder doing like for Talking Book, Intervisions, Songs in Key of Life, fulfilling his personality on like Atlantic Records or Mercury Records or even Philly International or Stax? You know, it would have just I don't know if it would have had the same effect, but Stevie Wonder on Motown, that's like peanut butter and jelly, man. And it always will be. What's going on, everybody? You're right on time for another ride on the Groove Line with your boy Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. It's Friday. You should all be doing well. It's Friday. Let's have a good weekend. And this episode of the Groove Line is going to help you kick off your weekend. So today we're going to be celebrating an anniversary. An anniversary 40 years ago. One of the greatest artists of all time, probably the greatest artist of all time, released a single, the lead single from his upcoming album. And a 3-year-old kid got a hold of this song, of course, listening to it in the car on the radio with his mom and his older sister, and became a fan of this artist from that point forward. That 3-year-old kid, me. That artist, Stevie Wonder. And yes, we're talking about Part-Time Lover today. So this is going to be really brief, but I'm going to tell you why Stevie is my personal GOAT. I mean, we'll talk about Part-Time Lover as a full song, but I did want to talk about why I feel like Stevie rates above everybody. And yes, that includes Michael. And I love Michael Jackson. I think Michael Jackson is the greatest entertainer to ever live. But as far as a musician goes, and Prince is a great one too. I love Prince too. But Stevie, man, he's in another level. But yeah, anyway. So Part-Time Lover. It is the lead single from In Square Circle. And it is a song about infidelity. And mind you, people have been cheating on Wax for years prior to Part-Time Lover. So it's not anything new under the sun. But it's funny because this is Stevie's first official studio album, In Square Circle is, in 5 years. Because when you think about it, Original Musicarium was a collection of, best ofs. And then you had a couple of new songs like That Girl, which is a Stevie top 3 for me, and Do I Do. And then, of course, the Lady in Red soundtrack. But this is Stevie's first studio solo album since Hotter Than July, way back in 1980. So this is him back, in the studio doing not a concept album, but still an album that is more straight ahead than Musicarium or the Woman in Red soundtrack was. I call it the Lady in Red. It was the Woman in Red. I think it's the Woman in Red. Yeah. But anyway, Part-Time Lover. It is a song about fooling around. Calling, ring once, hang up the phone to let you know you made it home. Don't want nothing to be wrong with Part-Time Lover. And it's so funny because when I was a kid, I mean, I was 3 years old. I just knew, the and then when I found out who that was as an adult, my mind was absolutely. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Part-Time Lover is just one of those songs that if you are not a child of the 80s, no, you could be a child of the 80s. I guess if you're a Gen Xer, you're still kind of young, but you're old enough to understand what's going on. Like if you're a worldly person of the 80s, it's just one of those songs in the middle point of the decade where you're like, yes, 85, 86. Remember what I was doing then. So yeah, Part-Time Lover. I mean, it's a song about fooling around. I mean, there's talking about call, ring once, hang up the phone. If there's a problem, you need to have one of my male friends, call the house and ask for me and then give you the phone so we can speak and all of that. And it's a song about fooling around. I mean, I don't know what else you can say about it other than it's a very fun, funky, upbeat fool around song. It's funny because that song is sort of like mentioned as an ode to the Supremes' You Can't Hurry Love. Because when you hear the drums, you can't hurry love, oh, you just have to wait. It's like, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, I mean, it's just sung a different way. But, you have Stevie and his earnest vocals. We are undercover, passion on the run. Yeah, chasing love up against the sun. And That scat. None other than the great, late great Luther Ronzoni Vandross Jr. Bruh. When I found out that was Luther doing the did on Part-Time Lover, I was like, ain't this about a blip? I'm thinking Stevie getting his scat on, and it's Luther. And there's also other great background vocalists on that song, like Philip Bailey of Earth, Wind and Fire. His ex-wife, Sarita Wright, Renee Hardaway, his sister. So it's like Stevie just, Stevie has so much clout. I mean, he's a GOAT artist, but he's apparently a very likable person too, because so many people have just wanted to touch the hem of his musical garment that they're like, all right, you ain't even got to credit me on this. I just want to be in the studio with Stevie doing some stuff. Imagine that. Philip Bailey of Earth, Wind and Fire and Chinese Wall was a great album at the time. So Phil Bailey wasn't no slouch. His Chinese Wall album was doing very well. Shouts out to Easy Lover and Phil Collins. But, you had him, maybe Phil was just casually walking by and Steve said, hey, Phil, you want to help me on this track? And Phil's like, okay, sure. Luther, I want to know how that Luther conversation came about. Stevie got to tell that story. I don't care. We need a Stevie Wonder podcast. I mean, there is the Wonder of Stevie, where that it covers the classic period. But I would love to hear Stevie just talk about how some of this stuff came to be in his own words. Like, bruh, how in the hell did you get? And Luther Vandross had a great album out in 1985, The Night I Fell in Love. So it wasn't like Luther was, in need of a boost. He already had a boost because The Night I Fell in Love might be a top 3 Luther album. But, he's like, Stevie's probably just like, hey, Luther, can you help me out with this? He's like, can you give me the scat? And Luther's like, of course I can. I'm Luther Vandross. And amazing. And that was the song that got 3-year-old Chris Stevens hooked on the Wonder of Stevie. And 40 years later, I am still a devotee at the Church of Stevie. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. I got to see Stevie Wonder in concert live, October 12th, 2024. I will never forget the day because I have a beautiful story about that. I actually did a podcast about that on my official YouTube channel. I might bring it over here, or I just might retell it over here. I know, you never know. But seeing Stevie live for the first time in my life was a bucket list item, and he did not miss a beat. He was great even at 74. And seeing him, I don't get emotional about artists very often, but yes, I was in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just a mess. I was smiling, I was laughing, I was enjoying myself when songs like Village Ghetto Land and I Just Called to Say I Love You, like the song, they came down my eyes, man. I can't see them coming down my eyes, but they did. I just think that Stevie's the GOAT, man. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. You guys might feel differently, but you're more than welcome to share your opinions in the comments. I just feel like there's something special about a kid born into utter poverty, because I'm thinking about Saginaw, Michigan, where he was born into utter poverty in Saginaw, Michigan, blind, and discovers that he can play instruments. Then his mom moves the family to Detroit, which around the time they moved to Detroit, there's this label called Motown that's starting to really percolate. And one of his school buddies is, related to one of the members of the Miracles, who, of course, is led by Smokey Robinson, who, of course, was a head honcho at Motown at the time. Like, it's just something, it was in the stars, man. It was just something in the stars for Stevie Wonder to be a Motown, for him to be as great and as awesome as he was, and have that freedom to create. Because after he turned 21, with the Coogan rights and everything, he said, all right, Barry, you got to give me something else, man. You got to let me do my own thing or I'm going somewhere else. Can you imagine Stevie Wonder doing like Talking Book, Intervisions, Songs in Key of Life, fulfilling his first finale on like Atlantic Records or Mercury Records or even Philly International or Stax? It would have just, I don't know if it would have had the same effect, but Stevie Wonder on Motown, that's like peanut butter and jelly, man. And it always will be. And I just think what Stevie is able to do with what the resources he had, I mean, he didn't have sight, but he just had this incredible gift of musicianship and brilliance and emotional intelligence. and just poured all of that out into the music, and we have benefited from it for over 60 years. That's my case for Stevie Wonder as the GOAT. Like you just can't, like you can't write Stevie Wonder's life in a book. None of it would just seem, some of it would just seem too fake to even be thought of. But it's all facts. Like his life is a charmed one. And he'll tell you his life is a charmed one. But we are grateful for having been able to share his life and his music with us. And that's my case for why Stevie Wonder is the GOAT. So I do want to know one thing though, before we get out of here. You guys can leave this in the comments. Who is your favorite artist? Who is your personal GOAT? And what song or album when did you discover them? What song and album did you discover them? When did you discover them? How did that make you feel? Please let me know in the comments. We'd love to know what you guys think. But that's going to do it for this edition of On the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. Contact information will be in the description below. Be sure to stay tuned. We got a lot more coming on this channel. So thank you guys for riding with me on the Groove Line. And until the next time we ride, enjoy your weekend. And may you find the groove, or may the groove find you.